Welcome children. We are going to do the chapter Albert Einstein at School, and this chapter is from your book The Snapshot. Here we will do the summary of the chapter. First, we will talk a little about the lesson. Albert Einstein at School is written by Patrick Pringle. About the lesson. What should be the purpose of education? Information gathering or inside information. We are rarely encouraged to go deep into the things which is essential for inside information. Education system at present curbs individual thinking. Albert Einstein, one of the greatest scientists of our time, was a rebel. He was expelled from school because he had the nasty habit of putting uncomfortable questions to his teachers and of ignoring the learning of things by heart. He did not like rote learning. This account of Albert Einstein's school days is a commentary on the system of education prevailing in Germany at that time. It also makes us reflect on the kind of education which is bad and which is good. So here we'll be reading in this chapter where Albert says that he became one of the greatest scientists of the world. But when he was a young boy, he did not like education, especially that part of education which forced him for rote learning. For him, he loved mathematics, he liked science. Why? Because he could use his mind, he could use his brain to do the work. But what he did not like was the rote learning. So this makes us understand, this makes us feel or reflect that which education is better. That of the rote learning, which is the education system of the present time, or something which gives us an insight formation. Insight means understanding the subject, experimenting with the thing, researching on it, and then finding about it. This process is going to lead to new facts, new figures. But if we continue with the rote learning, not much will come out of this education system. Now, the summary of the chapter. I've just given the points and I will talk about it in detail, discuss these points in detail. So the first point of the summary is Albert's encounter with his history teacher. Albert Einstein was studying in Munich for his diploma in a school. One day, his history teacher, Mr. Braun, asked him about when the Persians defeated the French at the Battle of Waterloo. Albert said that he did not know. He frankly told his teacher that he saw no point in learning dates of events. He added that to him, ideas are more important than facts and figures. Mr. Braun got angry. He reprimanded Albert for his views and asked him to leave school. So here, very frankly, when asked about the date of Waterloo, Albert very frankly said that date is not important because all these are facts and facts are already there in the book. What we need to know about anything is the cause for it or the reason of it, so that we can prevent that cause, we can prevent that reason from happening again. We can prevent that event happening again because we know the cause and we can change that. And it was no use learning about how many soldiers died, where it took place and all, who won, who was defeated. All these are things which can be easily gathered from the history book. Now the teacher was very happy. So it was not only his history teacher, but there were other teachers also who were unhappy with Albert because of this attitude. So Albert was continuously very happy at school. So Albert's unhappiness. Second point, Albert didn't like his school. All his teachers except the maths teacher discouraged him. The atmosphere of the place where he was staying in a rented room in Munich was not good. He had to live in a small dingy room in the poorest area of Munich. It was a poverty-stricken slum. Einstein felt disgusted. His landlady used to beat her children regularly. Every Saturday her husband would come drunk and beat her. The atmosphere of violence made Albert very unhappy. He disliked screaming of children. Moreover, the landlady did not allow him to play his violin. Playing violin for Albert was only consolation in his misery. So Albert was unhappy. He was not only unhappy at school, where the teachers did not understand him, every day where he was scolded, reprimanded, abused for not behaving properly, not learning things properly. But when he came back home, he lived in a small rented room in a very poverty-stricken slum. It was equally unhappy place because the landlady had a number of children, and all the time she used to beat them, scold them, and the children crying. And moreover, every Saturday her husband would return drunk and beat his wife. So it was situation where there was lot of violence, lot of noise, and Albert did not like this. He loved to play his violin, but his landlady did not allow him to do that. So this where he could get a little solace, where he could find some kind of peace of mind by playing this violin, that was also stopped. Now, meeting with cousin Elsa. Cousin Elsa came to meet Albert. She told him to try to pass the examination just by repeating the things they taught at school. Albert said that he could not learn by heart. He was interested in studying science and maths, so Albert made up his mind to leave the school. So his cousin came and tried to explain him, tried to make him understand that he just has to pass the school and then things will be different from him. He can go and take admission anywhere else. And it's very easy to pass. He does not have to understand anything. Just learn it by heart, by rote, and you can just reproduce them on the paper and pass the examination. But Albert did not like this system, and he refused. He made up his mind to leave the school. Now, friend Yuri's help. Albert had a friend whose name was Yuri, and when Albert told Yuri that he wanted a doctor's prescription so that he could get a chance to leave school, Yuri took Albert to a friend, Dr. Vale. Dr. Vale issued a certificate to the effect that Albert needed a six-month break from school due to nervous breakdown. Albert resolved never to go to school. And there was a young Dr. Vale. He was a friend of Yuri. He saw Albert and he understood that Albert really had a nervous breakdown, and he gave a certificate saying that Albert could stay away from school for 6 months, and Albert decided to go back home to Milan and never come back. Albert's third point, Albert's relation with maths teacher. Albert loved doing maths, so he was very good at maths, so his teacher had great respect for him. Albert asked his maths teacher, Mr. Koch, for a reference to get admission in the Italian Institute for his further studies. For further studies or his studies in mathematics in Milan, Mr. Koch was highly impressed by Albert's mathematical abilities and provided a glowing reference. He said that in a few years' time, there will be a moment when Albert was so good at maths that he could become a maths teacher and come and teach his teacher. But he wrote a serious and a glowing reference about Albert. Now, the last point, meeting with the head teacher. This is the time when the behavior of the head teacher made Albert really decide to leave school. Albert was summoned by the head teacher. He informed Albert about his expulsion from school. When Albert asked him the reason for the expulsion, he told him that his very presence was distractive because his attitude was outrageous. He was expelled because he was considered a bad influence on other students. Albert left the school without having a look back at the school. Before leaving, he met his only friend Yuri in the city. So when he was called by the head teacher, and the head teacher decided to expel him from the school. Why? Because his presence was distractive. His comments, what he spoke about education system distracted the other students, and the teacher also felt that his attitude was not proper towards studies. He was a bad influence for the other students. So it was better that he was asked to leave the school so that he would make use of his time somewhere else in a better way. So this is the summary. I hope you have understood the summary. I've given in points, but I've discussed each of the points, and you will be able to understand the chapter. Thank you.